Exactly 10 years ago, in December 1999, Seattle, Washington hosted a World Trade Organization conference. Anti-WTO protesters turned out in record numbers, and protests ranged from peaceful meditation to full-blown window-smashing riots. Seattle 99 signaled a renaissance in protest culture and indicated a growing dissatisfaction with the consequences of world trade. But to the average observer, the concerns of protesters have never really been made clear. The media focuses only on the most violent clashes between protesters and police, while most economists and politicians hold fast to the ideals of unfettered free trade, which they believe is the best way to lift developing countries out of poverty. So what's the problem then? What are all those protesters so upset about? Cambridge economist Ha-Joon Chang believes he has the answer. In Bad Samaritans, The Myth of Free Trade and the Secret History of Capitalism, Dr. Chang argues that a distorted view of history shapes today's economic policy, and the distorted policies that result are hurting rich and poor countries alike. He uses historical figures like Alexander Hamilton, Jonathan Swift, Queen Elizabeth I, and Daniel Defoe, author of Robinson Crusoe, to bring his argument to life. In the first two chapters, Dr. Chang clears up the record. He explains that most of today's wealthy countries got that way by using tariffs and trade barriers until their industries were ready to compete internationally. The US and Britain maintained the highest tariffs in the world until they were so rich that nobody else could compete with them. According to Chang, officials at the WTO, World Bank, and International Monetary Fund make a habit of pressuring underdeveloped countries into trade agreements that are tailored to make rich countries richer, and little besides. Once Dr. Chang gets through the history of his subject, he makes the following arguments. Free trade reduces freedom of choice for poor countries. Keeping foreign companies out may be good for poor countries in the long run. It's okay for governments to invest in companies that run at a loss, even for years. Some of the world's best companies are or were state-run. Borrowing copyrighted ideas from rich countries is essential to economic development. Low inflation may be harmful for the economy. Corruption is more of a problem in markets that are too big, not too small. Free markets and democracy don't go together naturally. Countries aren't poor because their workforce is lazy. And believe it or not, Dr. Chang explains all this with plenty of humor and crystal clear language. Bad Samaritans isn't an economics primer, but it won't leave you in the dark as long as you come at it with some genuine curiosity and a bit of concern for the countries that are working to rise out of poverty.